Welcome along to another episode of Mildly Informed with me, Richie Firth, him, Chris Skinner, and as ever, our sole aim is to inform you, but mildly, as to what we've observed and seen this week and you need to know about. Chris, how are you?
I'm well, Richie. I have to confess I'm tired. For those watching this on the YouTube, they'll see I'm not in my regular location. I'm in a hotel room in Edinburgh. And when I say hotel room, this is the Edinburgh Fringe. So just to give you an idea, a night in an Ibis hotel is 300 quid. So I'm not there. I am actually staying in a halls of residence like it's 1998. And halls of residence have got better than they were in the 90s. I'm having a thoroughly nice time, although it's early and I went to bed late.
I'm sure I and the audience will afford you the I don't know what I'm trying to say. We'll be sympathetic.
Right. Okay. I mean, when you're talking about affording me stuff, I thought you really were assuming I was actually a student and you were going to lend me some cash.
The cupboards do look bare in the background for those that are watching on YouTube.
Well, I mean, what do I put in a cupboard? Everything's still in. I don't know what you're like when you move into a hotel room. You know, you're going to be there for 3 nights. 3 nights. If you're there for a week, you take everything out of the suitcase, yeah? If you're there overnight, I think you barely bother. 3 nights, some stuff's out, some stuff's not. I can't be asked to put stuff on the shelves.
No matter how many nights I'm staying in a hotel room, everything's out. Everything's out.
Oh, God. No.
But that's not what we're here for.
It's not. I'm not here to review hotel rooms. But I am fascinated in the life that you lead. And apparently you're vaguely interested in who I am as well. And I think we have opinions about the world. And I would love you to kick the show off by giving me a review/opinion of something mind-blowing that's happened to you this week.
Chris, there's daylight robbery going on in the United Kingdom at the moment, and it is in the form of kiss and fly. Are you aware of what kissing and flying is?
I've got literally no idea. It sounds like a 90s pop rap band.
So yesterday I dropped my eldest daughter, well, actually my only daughter, off to Stansted Airport, with her friend for a week's holiday in Ibiza. 4:30 we left home, dropped her off at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock flight. And when I got to Stansted Airport, I dropped her off in what is called the express set down lane at Stansted Airport. To use said express set down lane at Stansted Airport, it cost me £7. £7. And if I'd been in the express set down lane in the airport for longer than 15 minutes, it would have cost me £30. Chris, wow. This is daylight robbery. It is absolutely outrageous. And before you kind of think, oh, he's rounding on Stansted Airport, this is a problem across the UK. I've got prices for the 20 major airports in the United Kingdom, and bar London City Airport, every single one of them charges to kiss and fly. And I personally think it is immoral. I paid £7 and I'm not even going anywhere. I'm not going on holiday. I'm not going away on a business trip to make money. I'm just dropping off my daughter and I have to pay £7. And when I pick her up again in a week's time, that's another £7. £14 for me not to go on holiday. It's outrageous.
I have sympathy for you. On the surface level, Richie, that sucks. All you're trying to do is look after someone you love in a potentially stressful situation. You know, that they could be traveling for all kinds of reasons. It's always an emotional thing, a parting. And the last thing you want to have to do is be trying to get your contactless work at the gate. It's not good. Maybe what we should do, Rich, is try to understand the reasons why they do this. You say it's daylight robbery, but is there potentially something else going on? What do you think, if you were like Terry Stansted, what do you think's going on in Terry Stansted's mind when he implements these charges?
He wants to rob me in the daylight. That's what's going on in Terry Stansted's mind. And I've got evidence of that because the last time I dropped off at Stansted Airport, it was still £7, but they'd introduced gates, contactless gates once you leave the express set down lane to pay your £7 and then out you go. Yesterday, when I dropped off, the gates have gone and they have now implemented a Dartford Bridge strategy of telling you that you can go online within the next 24 hours and pay for it. Because what they want you to do is forget and then charge you even more because they just want your money. It's not about anything environmental whatsoever. It is daylight robbery.
Okay. I understand your anger here, but and I hate being this voice of reason, but I'm going to try and be a voice of reason here. Could it be a deterrent to stop the cab companies lurking? Is there, particularly when you see that fine goes from 7 to 30, are you the victim of a feud between Terry Stansted and Brian Uber, for example?
Well, first of all, if your surname is Uber, I would suggest your name is probably Burnt or something or other. I don't think you're Brian. Okay. I don't think you're Brian Uber.
I got Uber once.
You get a cream for it these days, I believe.
You can. Yeah.
I don't think that's the case because most airports have designated things. And it's interesting you bring up Burnt Uber, okay? Let's have a look at how they do it on the continent because everyone always defaults to, how do they do it in Europe? How do they do it in Europe? We don't have to queue to go through if we're part of the EU. How do they do it in Europe? Okay, how they do it in Europe, let's have a look at the biggest airports in Europe. Let's have a look at Frankfurt Airport. Let's have a look at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Let's have a look at Madrid Airport. The biggest 3 airports in Europe, and there is no charge.
Thank you.
No charge whatsoever to kiss and fly in Europe. Yet here, all 20, bar London City Airport, who have got the DLR, all 20 will charge you.
Well, that's a good point you make there. And we'll talk more about City in a moment. I would love to talk more about City in a moment. Do you think then, you poo-poo the environmental reasons, are they trying to get people on the train? Are they trying to get people on that Stansted train, on that Luton train, on that Liverpool John Lennon Airport train? Is that the motivation to act as a disincentive for anyone to drive?
Let's talk Stansted again, specifically. When COVID happened, the Stansted Express went down to 2 services an hour. Then post-COVID and air travel picking back up, they then went to 3 services an hour. It is now back at 4 services an hour. Every 15 minutes, you can get a train from London to Stansted Airport. Every 15 minutes. That's also the same for Gatwick Airport. Every 15 minutes, you can get a train from Victoria to Gatwick Airport, aside from all of the Southern services and the Thameslink services. Heathrow, you can get on the tube out there. You can get on the Elizabeth line out there. You can get on the Heathrow Express. There is no shortage of trains to get to these things, yet they still charge. It's just mind-numbing. Like you look at some of these piss pot airports, like Bournemouth Airport or Aberdeen Airport or Cardiff Airport. They're even charging. You've probably got time to sort of have a game of football on the runway before the next plane lands at those airports, but yet they're still charging to kiss and fly. Get out of here quickly and pay us some money. I hate it.
I'm so sad to hear that you've fallen out of love with Bournemouth Airport, Rich, after all those glorious days.
Name any of these airports. In fact, I tell you what, let's have a look at what's the most expensive. In the UK, what is the most expensive airport to drop off at? Well, it's actually, no one's charging more than £7. So I speak to these people: Stansted, Southampton, Leeds, Bradford, Gatwick, Bristol. All of you lot, you're in a cabal. Take a look at yourselves. Kiss and fly, 1 star my arse.
It's a review, and I'm going to give you some stats now, Rich, or at least a calculation that I think may endorse what you're saying here. So let's say 1 car a minute pops up, yeah? Mm-hmm. So that's 60 cars an hour. Now let's work on the broad assumption it's a 24-hour airport. It's not quite that.
I
it's
tell
not
you what,
far.
I saw there's more than 60 cars an hour dropping off at Stansted Airport at 5 in the
But
morning.
this is just top line calculation. Let's say there's 365 days a year. I know occasionally there's not, but we're not going to go into that now. And they're all paying that £7 each time. That means the revenue from those very conservative calculations of mine at Stansted alone is £3.7 million a year.
There you go.
To get people parking.
There you go.
It's good numbers,
Hate
mate.
it.
I mean, that is ouchy.
Chris, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to calm down for the rest of this episode. I promise you. But I just can't get across how much I think this is daylight robbery.
I think you're entitled to be annoyed. A tiny little tidbit before we move on. In fact, it's a bit of a precursor to the moving on. I used the one major airport that doesn't charge for drop-off, and I got dropped off in it just last week. It was fantastic.
That's the thing. London City Airport, they're the only airport in the UK that doesn't charge to drop off, but you can do an express drop off, but you don't get charged for it whatsoever. And obviously, they've got the DLR out there as well. London City Airport, they deserve to win Champions League of airports.
I love them. I love them to bits.
Chris, what's been on your mind this week?
Well, the city airport is a precursor to the first thing I want to discuss. We wanted to go on a city break as a family. I think it's really important when we do holidays with the kids. I want to get them to get a bit of culture and a bit of a worldview, not just see a beach or a caravan site or wherever it is. And City Airport is near to where we live. So we went, okay, well, where is nice in the summer that you can get to from City Airport, which is 20 minutes from our house? And we scrolled down, Spain's nice at this time of year. Scroll down, San Sebastian.
Oh.
We went to San Sebastian, and my review is not about San Sebastian, home of Real Sociedad, which is important to note because they've got a great kit. It is a wonderful place. I'm going to give it 5 stars anyway, but that's not what I'm here to review. It's one of those great European cities that's loads of culture, and it's loads of beautiful scenery, incredible food, but it's also on a beach. There's a port there. There's 2-3 massive beaches there. It's like in the summer, it's the city with everything. It really, really is.
It's like the Spanish Southend.
It has a lot in common with Southend. In that I could see both from the plane that I flew from City Airport to San Sebastian. I saw both resorts on that journey. It has, like all cities, families, people who live there all the time, as well as tourists. And down by the port, you could see there's a lot more locals there, including loads of kids who wanted to jump and dive in the sea by the port. You always see this on holiday, the kids doing the backflips, the kids doing the dives. They're all somewhere between 11 and 18 generally, and they're all really good at it. And my oldest is now 11. She saw it. She went, I want a piece of this. But we're out for dinner. And she's like, I really want to do this. I'm like, I haven't got our trunks with us. It's like 7 o'clock in the evening. We're going to go and sit down. And I looked at her and I was like, it reminded me of how I would have felt at 11. And I don't know about you, Rich. I would have been the kid begging my parents to say, I want to go in the sea. I want to jump off the edge of the port right into the sea. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do something here. And there was a local tat shop, so really basic tourist mementos. But I guess for emergency situations, it had some very cheap towels and some very cheap swim shorts. And I went okay, let's do this. So I bought the cheap swim shorts. I bought the cheap towel, and I was like, okay, we can do this. And then all of a sudden I realized, well, there's no changing rooms near here. It's not even like a beach where you can, we're up by the port. We're like, it's a restaurant strip, what do I do now? And I was like, well, I guess there's only one thing for it. I'm going to, as best as I possibly can, wrap this newly bought towel around me, label still on it, take my clothes off with no real 360 cover, leave it all hanging out whilst I put the pair of shorts on, hiding it as best as I possibly could. And I was pretty stressed about it, but as relaxed as I can be. I mean, trust me, for most of my life, I was one of those people who always used to panic about getting naked. My parents were like, just take your shorts off, no one cares. I'm like, but I don't want to. And I did it. And I did it because I knew that my family had some stuff they wanted to do. And then we went in, and I was, by 20 years, the oldest person diving in the pool. And it was brilliant. Rich, it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. My daughter loved it. She was like, this is like a life-defining moment. I always remember this. It was like genuinely brilliant. So I would like to talk to you about getting naked in public and the pros and cons of getting naked in public. Mostly we see this as an exhibition thing. You don't see them on the TV screens anymore because they do their best to censor them. I think maybe you get fewer streakers anyway these days. I don't rate them particularly highly. If I'm at a sporting event where I see one, cheer, but then I'm like, oh, get off now. I don't know if you, how do you feel yourself about those moments where you might have to get changed in public or you see other people doing it? What's your vibe on those people?
As I've got older, I'm way more open. I'm way more open to getting naked in public. I think that is because I care less.
Yeah.
And I think that is because I've begun to realise it's quite liberating. And I've got a feeling there's a nudist in me.
Oh, well, that is interesting. If you were going for a walk, you and Natalie, you're walking through the Sussex countryside, and you see a little sign as you're about to cross a beach, and this is a naturalist's beach, no clothes. You've got to walk 300 meters across this beach to continue on your footpath. Where's your head at?
But have I got to get naked to walk across?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, do it.
20 years ago?
20 years ago, I think I'd be laughing. I'd be giggling.
Yeah. For me, I think I've worked out what it is. I think I see the bigger picture now. I think I'm like, I'd want to get from one side of the path to the other. So just getting my kit off, fine, so be it. I want to go diving in the sea, and the only option is to badly wrap a towel around me and go and do it. I'm like, bigger picture is I want to go in that sea.
I've got one other question because this is a live thought process as I speak here. Does nudity only work, though, the whole sort of like naturist way of thinking, if you don't know the people that you're hanging around on the beach with? Obviously, if you're there with your partner, you see them naked every day. I don't know what I'd feel like if you and I went to a nudist beach together. Both, if we're thinking, yeah, let's go do it. I don't think I'd want to go and do it with anyone else that like I'm then going to go and see, because then we would be sat down recording another episode of Mildly Informed, and I'd know what your arse looks like.
Okay. What you're saying is you're questioning what you do if I, when we were outdoors together, pulled my trousers down.
In essence, yes. I wouldn't be surprised.
Because I'd be prepared to pull my trousers down.
I've got a feeling that both of us, after not many drinks, would quite willingly pull our trousers down.
This is going to be a complicated thing to review. Because there are ways in which it could go wrong. But I'm going to give getting your clothes off on public, with a caveat for the greater good, 4 stars.
Define the greater good.
Well, in the real life scenario that I presented, it was me being able to get some swimming gear on after that so I could go and do an activity with my family. In the theoretical example, it was so we could continue our country walk. I'm sure the audience will have others.
I've got a feeling you need to just word it slightly differently and say that the review is 4-star review for getting naked in public without malicious intent.
I am extremely content to add that specific caveat. It's a note I'm taking on board.
Who knows?
Should we see if Bernd Uber is back from his naturist holiday and see if he's put an advert in this next bit?
Let's do it. Whether or not Bernd Uber is back from his holiday and whether anyone kissed and flied him while he was naked, dropping them off at the airport, is immaterial. But what is important to us is your thoughts on this amble so far. Let us know what you think. You can email us, mildlyinformedpod@gmail.com, or find us on our socials at Producer Chris or at Richie Firth.
And on our Patreon, it was a well-received episode from last week where I decided to review that narrow subject of horses. So please do come discover our Patreon and get the definitive review on those freaky four-legged monsters.
He's not lying. We did receive emails from people encouraging us to devote a segment of this podcast every week where we review a different animal. And it is something that we're going to talk about in our AGM as to whether that segment ever comes true.
Well, funny you should say that, Rich, but I'd love to know what the next thing you're going to cover is.
Pigeons. Chris.
Yes.
I've got a feeling that we need to bring back the pigeon as a pet.
Oh. Why?
Let me explain. At the weekend, we were clearing some stuff out, just clearing rubbish from the spare room, and it took all day, and I was quite irritated by this, but knew it was a task that had to be done. I was looking forward to the end of the day where I was going to make homemade burgers. Not put burgers together, but actually make the patty myself as well. And having got through all the clearing out, I was cooking in the kitchen, and this was the point of the day that I was looking forward to. And then suddenly my wife comes downstairs and goes, "We've got a problem. There's a pigeon in our bedroom." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I just turned to her and just go and use one of those great big plastic boxes that we've just emptied and cleared out. Put it on top of the pigeon. I'll come and sort it in a minute. Because right now, I was just looking forward to the burgers. I didn't want to interrupt my burger making to go and sort out a pigeon. I didn't even know I was going to sort that out. So off she goes again. Comes back a few minutes later. "Yeah, I didn't do that. I thought it would scare it. So I've just shut the bedroom door." So all of a sudden, I'm suddenly like, right, okay, brilliant. So there's a pigeon shitting and discarding feathers in our bedroom right now. Screw the burgers. I've got to go up and sort this out. So I did, and went in there, and bold as brass, sat on our dressing table, was a pigeon looking at itself in the mirror. It was huge.
A vain pigeon.
And it was a vain pigeon. It was so chilled. It looked at me as I entered the room and then just looked back at itself in the mirror. It wasn't bothered. It wasn't suddenly freaking out. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I'm thinking, right, how am I going to get this thing out? So I went and opened the windows as wide as possible. Obviously, that's how it's got in because it was a hot day. Then I went and got a big towel. I thought, right, I'm just going to go up, put the towel over the pigeon, and then carry it to the windows and release it. So I got closer and closer to the pigeon. Towel starts to go over the back of the pigeon. Pigeon doesn't move. It does not move. And then I swaddled the pigeon. It still does not move. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be so much easier than I thought. It was only as I started to pick the pigeon up that it did sort of like a little flutter. And then I freaked out. I'm like, ugh. So I quickened my pace, walked to the window, threw pigeon and towel out of the window, saying, "Fly, you bastards." And off it went across the garden, landed on the shed. The towel landed on the parasol underneath, and the emergency was over.
Oh.
I felt like a hero. But in the ensuing hours afterwards, I couldn't stop thinking about the whole thing and just how chilled the pigeon was. And then I started thinking back to my childhood and Coronation Street and Jack Duckworth, how he kept
Hmm.
pigeons out the back. And I started to think to myself, how have we let it be that we have let the pigeon move away from being kept in our houses as pets and loved? Pigeon fanciers was a term. And now we
Hmm.
treat them as vermin that we want ridded from our public spaces. And then, Chris, I went back even further. And they were war heroes. Are you aware that the pigeon has been awarded the Dickin Medal, which is the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross?
Um, that sounds like exactly the kind of batshit thing that we would do as a country. Um, I'm sure the pigeon was thoroughly deserving of recognition. I don't think they give a shit about medals. And they should have just been given some trill. Is it trill they eat or is that carrots?
Birds do have trill, yeah. Can I educate you about the Dickin Medal? Animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, by the one on Jonathan Ross there, was awarded to pigeons for their bravery and service during wartime. Now, one of the most famous was a pigeon called Commando, who was
Oh, shut
used
up.
during.
It
No,
wasn't called
promise you.
Commando.
It's called Commando. During the Second World War, he carried out more than 90 missions. Um, the medal was sold for auction at £9,000. Pigeons were used at times when radio transmissions were considered to be too dangerous because the Germans were onto us. So they used pigeons instead because they knew the pigeon could carry a message clipped to its leg, over it goes, and then would come back to Jack Duckworth's loft. That is why the pigeon got the Dickin Medal. That is why the pigeon was absolutely fine with me carrying it out of the bedroom. And that's why we need to welcome them back to the house.
Genuinely, Commando the Pigeon has, with a photo, his own Wikipedia page.
I know. Isn't he the most glorious pigeon you'll see? Ever so upright.
Looks absolutely like your granddaddy fought in the war, although mine didn't.
If you're not near the internet right now, which would be quite a surprise listening to a podcast, and you're imagining what Commando looks like, he looks everything like what you think he looks like.
Wow. I'm interested. I'm surprised. I don't know if at what point Commando would have shat all over your bedroom if you'd left him in there long enough. I don't know if you'd have kept Commando in a Jack Duckworth style shed in your backyard.
Well, let me talk a little
Commando
bit.
and his mates would have stunk.
Can we talk a little bit more about bird shit? Because that's not what we're here to talk about. But I do think we need to actually reappraise our knowledge of bird shit. Commando didn't poo once in our bed. No, not Commando. It wasn't the war hero that came into our bedroom. The pigeon that came into our bedroom didn't poo in there once.
That you found yet?
No, I've checked. Obviously, I don't want to sleep in a room full of bird poo. But there's a reason for that. Birds only poo when they're taking off. It is a well-known fact that one of the most dangerous periods of flight for an aircraft is takeoff and landing. Birds only poo when they're taking off because such is the exertion that they put through their body to gain flight, to flap their wings and become aerodynamic and move. They lose control of their arse at the same time. Now, if you think about when you fart, it's most likely when you're getting out of bed or getting off a sofa these days because of the effort involved in us getting up, and we lose a little bit more control of our backsides. And that is why birds shit. That's why you'll find bird shit underneath a tree, because eventually they've got to take off from the tree. That's why you find bird shit underneath a big light post, because they've been sat on the lamp, then they're like, I've got to fly off somewhere else, blah, 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 and off they go. Shit everywhere. So that's why they shit. What are you laughing at?
You said in the Stansted bit you would calm down.
I have calmed down. I'm passionately defending the pigeon and all
Okay.
birds.
We are running long this week, Rich. And
All right, 5
I
stars
don't even know what
pigeons.
you.
Bring them home as pets.
Hang on. So hang on. No. You're reviewing pigeons as pets, pigeons as soldiers, pigeons in general. What's
Do you know what?
what's going on here?
Let's widen it up. After the success of horses last week,
Right.
pigeons, 5 stars.
That is utter bollocks. You cannot give these flying vermin 5 stars.
No, that's Chris. That's racism. That's racist.
What?
Okay, you can't call them flying vermin. You can't call them flying
Why?
vermin. They're more intelligent than that.
I don't give
You're
a shit.
following a label,
If you're
a
a
stigma.
pigeon and you're offended, write to me.
They're war heroes.
Commando didn't even know he was at war. He just got fed some seeds to fly from A to B.
It's just us disagreeing at the moment. If you wish to disagree or support the argument for a 5-star review of pigeons, why not leave a comment on the YouTube site or indeed on TikTok? Chris, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to try and do this one quickly, given how long we've run. I am not the kind of guy historically who likes going to the same place over and over again. I'm not a creature of comfort like that. My wife is, and I think you are, like who you find somewhere you like to visit, a holiday destination, a restaurant. You go, well, I liked it, I'll go again. That's the general thinking of a lot of people. I'm like, my attitude is I saw it, I liked it. There must be other great places that will give me equal but different pleasure somewhere else. And that's always been my approach. And I find actually that I'm changing a bit more to the you side a bit. So becoming a parent was an influence. It's funny how you become a parent, you just get really tired all the time. And so the idea of like going to the same holiday destination where you know that you're not, everything's going to be in the right place, it's a win. I'm like, I find myself sort of initially caught up in a wave of self-loathing about it, but getting over that because I know the bar's over there and it's got a comfortable bed. And I'm in Edinburgh this week. I'm at the Fringe Festival. There's a restaurant here. This is going to be like Chris Skinner bingo here. The restaurant is called Soul Vegan, and I really love it. And I have now gone there for 5 consecutive Edinburgh visits.
Brilliant.
Including your friend and mine, Ollie. I dragged here last year, and he believes we went 3 times last year, and I've already dragged him here once this time. Like, they're going to know my name pretty soon, and I live 600 miles away.
Chris, I need to encourage you here. It's important to remember we're not on this planet for a long time. We're here for a good time. So what you need in life is certainty. And if you find something that you like, you're not going to be able to guarantee that you're ever going to go there again. So if you do get granted another day on this planet, never hesitate by going somewhere again, because you guaranteed gratification. Why waste that extra day you've been given by trying something new? Go with certainty.
I understand the thought process, but like, we would never have discovered like Antarctica if someone hadn't gone, what if I sail further south? No one would have ever invented the chicken katsu curry if they hadn't gone, what if I take curry spices and put them on this Japanese food?
No, I disagree. I disagree vehemently. Antarctica was probably discovered by someone who didn't like South America. They were like, this is shit, don't like it here. I'm going to go and see if there's anywhere else. The person who likes South America stays in South America. They don't then go and try and find somewhere else. They're like, this is it. This is great. I'm going to eat here.
What about the guy who invented the meat thermometer? Do you think he was like, you know what, I'm quite happy with the status quo here. I like the situation I'm in. The meat's sometimes cooked, it sometimes isn't, but my life's all right here.
The person who invented the meat thermometer would have had horrendous food poisoning and the shits and would have thought to themselves, I am never, ever having this again by not cooking meat to the correct temperature. I'm going to invent something. Everything in life happens because of something. There is cause and effect. And the cause and effect of you going to a new restaurant is because the one that you went to last time wasn't good enough. When you found one you like, you stay.
I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm not proud of myself, but I am prepared to admit it is a thing I now do. And so with that in mind, I give being a boring fucker 3 stars.
I give it 5 stars. Know what you like in life and do it.
Look, I'm giving it a 3 that reads like a 4.
Bobby Uber is outside. He's beeping his taxi. He's got another ad break. He's left.
Well, thanks. Why Bobby Uber? Is that his cousin?
Because Burnt Uber's on holiday now. He's gone to Antarctica.
Think of the business Uber could do in Antarctica. Rich,
yeah.
Quickly, please. I feel like my week is incomplete without one more slice of yours.
I know, as you have said many times already this episode, we're running long, so I'll keep this one quick. But to be quite frank, this review only needs to be quick. Why did Coke not warn us that it explodes?
Coca-Cola?
Correct. Chris, the other evening I was sat downstairs and then a bomb went off in the fridge. Well, certainly what sounded like it. And I was sat there thinking, what was that? It took about 3 years off my life expectancy. And I got up and I walked over to the fridge and I opened the fridge door expecting to see carnage. And I couldn't see what was going on inside the fridge. I was thinking, this is really weird. Literally sounded like some explosive device had just gone off. Now, my daughter said to me, she said, that's really weird. Maybe it was the freezer. So I shut the fridge door and I opened the freezer door. And what I was met with was carnage. A Diet Coke can had exploded in our freezer. And what looked like, I supposed, Coke slush was all over the innards of our freezer. And it took over an hour to clear. But there is no warning whatsoever on any Coke bottle or any Coke can that putting it in a freezer could cause it to explode.
I'm trying to work out here what I think about that, because I've put cans of beer in the freezer before to cool them quickly, forgot about them. And I wouldn't say they've exploded, but they have, they're sort of split open a bit, and then you've got like frozen, open, wasted beer.
Well, that is an explosion. That's what happened to the Coke.
Yeah, but again, maybe it doesn't really bother me that much, mostly because I'm like, I was an idiot. I should have known, because obviously when it changes from a liquid into a solid, there's going to be a change in the structure of the product. The strength of the metal and the constituent parts of the liquid becoming solid are going to cause some kind of reaction, the equal and opposite of boiling. So I would expect some kind of either implosion or explosion moment.
Why
did you leave a can in the freezer?
I didn't put it in there. It was not me.
Right. Are you trying to blame Coke when really you just need to be having a word with your family?
Correct. My wife left the freezer. My wife left the Coke in the freezer and I had to clear up the mess. I was the one that suffered the trauma of that Coke going off like an incendiary device at 10:15 in the evening.
Well, look, I think you need to apologise to Nigel Rio Coke and say, come on, lads. I know it wasn't you. It was actually my family.
I don't think I'm going to apologise just yet, though, because we do live in a society where if you're out in public right now by sinks, by a hot water tap, there will be a sign that says, beware hot water. All right. We have to warn people about everything because we live in a society of imbeciles. So
Nanny
I think,
state.
yeah, I think Coke could do with putting a reminder for my wife that it is not to be put in the freezer for any length of time.
I couldn't give a shit.
Exploding Coke, 2 stars. The only redeeming feature it has is actually the taste of frozen, slushed, exploding Coke.
Yeah.
It was quite nice.
Yeah, you'd pay more than you'd pay for the can to have like a Coke slush.
Certainly would. And speaking of paying for things, this is where we suddenly bid an awkward goodbye to the regular listeners of Mildly Informed, the full fat ones, shall we say, because Coke Extra. Oh, hang on, are you just popping a Percy Pig friend there?
Just whilst you do the wrap up, I thought I'd eat a Percy Pig.
I bet they serve that in your vegan restaurant. You can find us on Patreon right now. Patreon.com, search for Mildly Informed Pod, and we're on there. And that's where we're going to go and find out what's on Chris's mind. But if you have been listening on our normal channels, thank you very much. You may email us mildlyinformedpod@gmail.com. You may leave comments on our TikTok or YouTube channels, and we will be back next week. We now jaunt off, fully clothed and not naked, to Patreon. Oh, Chris, you've dropped your towel.